This is the Money Matters Radio Network. WBNW 1120 AM and W275CM FM. Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
As a busy mom to 4 kids, my to-do list is full.
Trying to fit in exercise, eating right, and prioritizing self-care can feel next to impossible.
While we can't add more hours to the day, we do have a great resource to help.
Go Red for Women has easy tips, tools, and information to help you and your family live a healthier life.
So to all the moms, the aunts, the grandmothers, and amazing women out there doing it all,
visit goredforwomen.org/momlife today.
You take care of them, Go Red for Women will take care of you.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you from Senior Care USA. The average funeral now costs over $10,000. That leaves your loved ones the burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay your family up to $30,000 to help pay for your funeral and other expenses. There are no medical exams. Your rates will never increase, and your plan cannot be canceled, regardless of your medical conditions, as long as you make your premium payments. Get up to $30,000 in final expense insurance. Call now for free information. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. That's 800-378-3818.
Mark Vonner is the CEO of Veterans Development Corporation. His dedication to serving our veterans has made an incredible impact on his family and employees. And he is so proud to be the presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston.
This is Brittany Vonner. I'm a registered nurse who is now working as an assistant project manager at Veterans Development Corporation. Working with my father, Mark, has been an incredibly rewarding experience. Our company is dedicated to serving VA hospitals and veteran communities. We don't just build facilities, we build environments that support healing, resilience, and family. We are so proud to see our work directly impact the lives of veterans and the professionals who care for them. This rich history is why we care so much about supporting great organizations such as the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts and the work they do to care for our veterans.
Join Veterans Development Corporation in thanking our great American heroes. Please visit dav5k.boston to show your support today.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today we're talking about estate tax reduction and asset protection strategies that can help reduce or eliminate your estate taxes. Todd, there have been major changes with the Massachusetts exemption amounts. What is the new exemption for the state? Does that mean that a married couple living in Massachusetts with $4 million in assets could eliminate their estate taxes?
So, yes, there has been some changes. Now we're almost a full year in, of course, heading into a second year into the change. The change is now $2 million. It used to be $1 million for estate tax exemption. Now it's up to $2 million. And yes, if you are married, but you actually do trust planning, you can shelter $4 million. But folks, that doesn't mean that's all you do. For folks with $3 million that want to eliminate taxes, we can do that. But we can also think about protecting assets from the cost of long-term care. It allows us to do both a little easier now with a higher estate tax exemption. So think about ways in which you can use the irrevocable trust to not only shelter and be able to reduce your estate tax by sheltering up to $2 million on the death of each spouse, but also starting that important 5-year waiting period running to protect those assets from the cost of long-term care.
The law firm of Cushing & Dolan have been helping families like yours for more than 40 years. Request your copy of Todd's brand new guide. It's called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. You can call 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. 866-848-5699, or you can request the guide from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing and Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
Chuck Mike Tucker with you here. It is a Thursday, the first one of December. And as we kick things off today, we're going to take another look at the labor market to start off. Then we'll talk a little bit more about AI because people just love to talk about AI. Then we'll talk a little bit about the Fed. And then we're going to talk about billionaires.
Sounds good to me.
Lots of them. But let's kick things off with a labor market piece. Barron's has this piece that's up. It's titled, Markets View Weak Job Data as Good News. Why that's a problem? Well, it's generally because if job data continues to get weaker, the Fed historically has an uneven track record at being able to potentially preempt recession through rate cuts. Usually there's something that helps after the fact.
Yeah, so look, we've been through market cycles before where good news equals bad news and bad news equals good. I'm not really sure if that's what we are in right now, but you know, the most recent data on the jobs market, let's see. We had the September jobs report, which actually was quite strong, but the ADP payroll data for November that just came out this week was fairly weak, and it's all been insinuating and pushing investors to believe that rate cuts are coming at this December meeting. I guess the reason that I don't feel as though we're in one of these cycles is because this morning, then again, we got a jobs report that was actually quite strong, the weekly jobless claims numbers, and we don't really have much moving on the expectations around a rate cut. And so, I don't know, I keep getting this mixed data on the labor market, and I can tell that it's certainly weakened compared to years past.
I don't think the data is that mixed. I think the data is pretty unambiguously weak.
Yeah, but I think when you have stuff, when you have the data from like Challenger Gray and Christmas making all these headlines about the worst labor market in 5 years,
that's crap. That
looks like garbage to me. Whereas, yes, it's unambiguously weak. It's weaker than it has been. It's showing weak job creation. But then you get this weekly jobless claims number, and yeah, we're just not seeing anything confirm a free fall in the labor market, I guess is where I go to.
There's two different things at play here. The first is we've had a continued weakening in the labor market since early 2022.
Agreed.
Unambiguous. It has been a move down in linear fashion pretty steadily. As you note, there's been no acceleration down at any point, but it's been a pretty consistent weakening. And this is backed up, if you just look recently, okay? And again, we haven't been getting, government jobs reports, but let's take a look at the data that we have been getting. ADP, and let's look at kind of 6 months now. So let's say second half of the year. ADP, has it been getting better or worse?
Worse.
BLS unemployment, again, because we don't have everything, but unemployment, better or worse?
The rate has been getting worse.
The answer is worse.
Yeah.
Continuing jobless claims, better or worse? Worse. They've been going up.
Yeah.
They're rising 5% year over year.
Yep. Continuing
notices.
claims, yep.
Warn notices going up, getting worse. Beige book, so what the Fed's actually talking to businesses about, getting worse. Indeed, job openings, better or worse?
Worse.
Like, you go through pretty much everything, and the only piece that's holding up is initial claims. It's
the hiring, the rate of hires for September picked back up after a weak summer.
It's 1 month.
It
like
is.
I can't look at 1 month. The job market is unambiguously worse now than at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
And this is before we even get into what I do think ultimately is what matters, which is, hey, how much are people being paid in the aggregate? Because aggregate payroll ends up working out to aggregate spending when we look at federal FICA tax withholding. So the tax that gets withheld for Social Security and Medicare, it's a great proxy for how much people are getting paid because companies have to do it, right? Like it's not optional. When you go set up your payroll system, they don't say, hey, would you like to pay Social Security tax through this? It's no, like you're going to pay Social Security tax. And what we've seen is over the last 5 months, July through November, we've gone from 7.4% year-over-year growth to 7.2 to 4.3 to 3.2. It's confirming that year-over-year growth in tax withholding is slowing.
Right.
So the labor market, in my opinion, is unambiguously worsening, and this is not something that's new this year. This has been going on since 2022. So this is not, I'm not sitting here being like, well, this is something that's, new this year and it's, the administrate. No, this has been going on since mid-22. It's a 4-year trend now, actually, since we're almost in 26. So it's a 4-year trend that's been in place, and it's been moving in linear fashion, meaning, hey, it's generally slowing at a pretty consistent rate. There has not been, what you typically see heading into recession, which is an acceleration of the worsening and the rate of job loss picking up. But it's something where it's pretty consistent where, yeah, every quarter, job gains are being reduced on a monthly basis by like 50 to 75K. And that's been what we've been seeing for almost 4 years now.
Right.
So the question is, does this actually matter to the economy? It does matter to people that are looking for jobs, no doubt about it. But I think the question that the Fed is asking on this is, does it matter to the economy? And it's the question all of us should be asking, by the way, because here's the confusing part of this. And this is where there is some ambiguity in the data, in my opinion. Despite the worsening of the labor market, slowing job growth, slowing wage growth, all these things, spending growth hasn't changed. We've been running consistently for the entire year, 4 to 6% spending growth year over year. That's what the banks are telling us. It's what the credit card companies are telling us. It's what retailers are telling us.
That's what Macy's is telling us.
Like there is no ambiguity on that side.
Right.
Despite the labor market weakness, there has been no spending weakness. And so the question that's really interesting to me personally is why. And the two theories that I think are possible and plausible right now are, number one, demographically, we're older than we've ever been. I mean, and you and I, Mike, we're older than we've ever been too. Like, getting older every day.
Yep, but if more of us don't rely on the job market for our spending, then that's a factor.
If there's a higher percentage of spending being driven by Social Security, pensions, and portfolio withdrawals, does the labor market matter as much to the economy as it used to? It's you look at the statistics on Social Security just as an example, and when again just looking at kind of the broad setup that you have as far as how many people are receiving Social Security benefits, 72.9 million people, and this is for 2024. Okay. The labor force, last time I checked, has about 160 million people employed in it. So if we do the math, there are half as many people that are collecting Social Security as there are in the labor force. That's the highest that ratio's ever been. You go back, I'll have to pull the data to see, but if you looked back at the 90s, instead of being a 2-to-1 ratio, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was probably close to a 3-to-1 or 3.5-to-1. So, like, does that matter? Like, these are big questions, and they're really interesting ones, too, in my opinion.
Apparently, we've got a listener named Mark Fandetti paying attention right now because he says the Dallas Fed has the possible answer. Consumption concentration has increased over the last 30 years, and the share of spending by consumers in the top 20% of the income distribution is up 4 percentage points over the last 3 decades. It's actually less than I get to play him when he's not even on the show.
Those were Fandettis from yesterday.
That's actually less than I would have guessed over the last 3 decades.
Ooh. We should get that Mark Fandetti guy to do a show with us sometime.
Yeah, we should. I just, right, if you had to pin me down, like how much has consumption concentration increased over the last 3 decades? And is this effect, like this data, if it's correct, does not really fully explain to me what's going on in this economy, because a 4 percentage point increase over 3 decades, it's not quite as severe as I would have guessed.
The other piece that I think is interesting on this, in terms of getting back to that question, markets view weak job data as good news, why that's a problem. Look, if what drives the U.S. economy now is different from what it used to be, what if the Fed changing interest rates doesn't have the impact that it used to either?
Sure. I will agree that this very well could be a problem, but I also want to reiterate to people that it is a phenomenon, good news being bad news and bad news being good news, that we have lived through almost constantly for the last 15 years when it comes to interest rates.
Even longer than that, Mike. The example that I brought up, I think it was maybe a month or so ago, early January of 2000, the Fed did an unexpected 50 basis point interest rate cut in between meetings.
Yeah.
The NASDAQ had its best day ever, going up 14% on that cut. And yet by the end of the year, it was still, I don't have the exact numbers, it was somewhere like 30 to 50% lower by the end of the year. And so this is normal to be able to say, the Fed cuts are going to save us. And then usually they don't. If you look at all of the previous Fed cutting cycles that we've had, and I'll define it as more than a couple percent. 1957, recession still happened. 1960, recession still happened. 1969, recession still happened. 73, recession. 81, recession. 90, recession. 2000, recession. 2007, recession. You go through the list. Fed does not have a great track record of avoiding them. The only one that I see out here that might fit the bill is 1967.
Right.
And other than that, it's just generally rate cuts don't usually do it. 71 you could put in there as well. So 2 out of 13 potential recessions may be averted. We'll see. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, let's talk AI after this.
Business and financial news affecting the markets and your wallet. We've got it all straight from Wall Street, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network. When the holidays roll in and the cold settles over New England, find your escape in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Trade the freezing temps and gray skies for warm sun, turquoise water, and that easy island energy you can feel the second you land. This December through early January, St. Croix ignites with the Crucian Christmas Festival, a celebration over a century old. Frederiksted comes alive with colorful parades, live reggae, and streets filled with the sights and flavors of real Caribbean culture. It's the holiday season with a tropical beat. From there, explore St. Thomas with its duty-free shopping and the legendary views at Maggins Bay. Or slow down on St. John, where quiet beaches and national park trails make every day feel like your own private adventure. Getting there could not be easier. No passport is needed, and there's no money to exchange. Just pack light and step out of the cold into pure sunshine. This holiday season, let yourself fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Visit America's Caribbean paradise, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Go to visitusvi.com and book your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Mark Vonner is the CEO of Veterans Development Corporation. Mark faithfully served his country from 1981 to 1984, and we're thrilled to have him as a partner and presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. Mark comes from a proud military family that includes his father Victor and brother Timmy. Mark talks often about how serving his country was one of the greatest achievements of his life, and it's one of the main reasons he chooses to give back to this special community. Mark is honored to continue the legacy that his father started when he built Veterans Development Corporation. Working to help many disabled veterans and their families has become a lifelong goal for Mark, and it's why he's taken the time to fully support the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. You can join Mark and help our great American heroes today by making a donation to support the DAV Department of Massachusetts. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Nobody wants to think about estate taxes or nursing home costs. But if you want to protect your money, your home, and everything you've built, you've got to get ahead of it. That's where Cushing & Dolan come in. They're experts in estate planning and elder law, and they've just released a brand new free guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. This guide lays out practical ways to keep your assets safe, and yes, even reduce or completely eliminate your estate taxes. If you already have a plan but aren't sure what your risk looks like, or you've been meaning to start one, this guide gives you exactly what you need to take control. So don't wait. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 and get your free copy of their new guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. That's 800-965-7987. Paid for by Term Direct.
Find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange on our YouTube page. Subscribe to our page and get caught up on anything and everything you might have missed. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Planning is well underway for the 2026 DAV 5K. And if you weren't able to attend this year's race but would still like to help our great American heroes, please visit dav5k.boston and make a donation. Your participation helps provide vital services like free transportation to medical appointments and safe housing for single veterans and their families. Donate today at dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
Peace and Barons. The stock market rode AI to record highs. Here's what could knock it down. AI stocks doing badly. The last part was my editorialization.
Yeah, that would do it.
If good stocks do bad, market do bad.
I was thinking about how to, appropriately phrase this these days without scaring people. But in reality, if you are buying a market cap weighted U.S. stock index these days, like the S&P 500, the most quoted one out there, it's really hard to argue that you're not making a pretty big bet on artificial intelligence, or
it's a pretty concentrated
bet on artificial intelligence.
Right?
Like what else out there? If I look at the top 10, what is not a big AI bet? It's basically Apple. Is that the only one?
Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now just to get what we have. Top 10. Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay, not a huge AI bet. True. So those are your two.
Yeah, because that's... Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Berkshire Hathaway is your only choice there.
Oh, well, technically JP Morgan, because if you combine Alphabet.
Oh, yeah, you get two alphabets, which is wild. Like, you should really only have one alphabet, but it's just me. So JP Morgan. So, yeah, out of the top 10, and again, on a percentage weighting, JP Morgan and Berkshire Hathaway are 3% of the index.
Right. So
the rest of the top 10 is north of, 30. So it's kind of problematic. And this is the thing that we've talked about a little bit before, which is, look, Mike, if someone came to you with a portfolio and they said, hey, I've got, 7% portfolio in 2 stocks and then 6% in another 2 and then 4% in another 2, you'd be like, it's a little concentrated on the high end there. Like generally, you might be like, hey, anything above 5% concentration is starting to get, a little bit high for a single stock. And yet when you tell someone, hey, I'm just buying the S&P 500,
there you go.
People go, oh, like that's fine, you're diversified. And the fact is, and this has been the case for the last couple of years, when the big boys have struggled, the index hasn't been able to get moving. I know we have all this talk about, you want good breadth and you want, a lot of participation on the upside and you want, lots of stocks to go up. The fact is, in this market, since the start of 24, 23 was a little different, but since the start of 24, when the big AI guys have struggled, the market has not been able to find its footing. We've had this on a few different occasions. The most recent one, by the way, being, look at the last few weeks. We hit all-time highs in September. Market's just kind of chopped around recently, and it's because a lot of these AI guys have been, kind of chopping around, not being able to keep moving up. Last July, before Yen-Mageddon, where the Japanese yen blew up the carry trade, what was going on in July? You had mega cap, AI starting to falter, and regional banks trying to lead. That didn't work.
Right.
I'm not saying that it can't work, but the underlying market structure right now is not one that is supportive of. It's not one that is supportive of, I'm just curing Dr. Pepper being able to drive the index. It's not supportive of eBay being able to drive the index. And until that changes, I don't know that it really can.
So U.S. stocks, we're in agreement that AI is driving U.S. stocks if you're looking at a market cap weighted index, which is pretty much how almost everybody invests these days.
Yeah.
Everyone's comparing it to the dot-com bubble, and part of the problem during the dot-com era, other than, everyone bidding up stocks that turned out to not really have any revenue, profit, or anything else, was that the monetization of the internet and the products that came out, they weren't very fast. It took a while to really innovate on this product, right? Google went public in 2004. Uber wasn't founded until 2009. Facebook didn't go public until 2012. Obviously, it was used a lot before then. And so, to me, the multi-trillion-dollar question here is, look, there are plenty of companies making money on AI. That's not what I'm saying. But almost nobody's making money by charging individuals and businesses for developing artificial intelligence-related tools. And so, to me, that's the multi-trillion-dollar question is, does it take a decade like it did with the internet? Or is AI different, and we're going to see this monetization happen on a much faster pace?
Did you happen to catch Mark Benioff's comments yesterday from Salesforce's quarterly earnings?
No. Should we cover them now?
Well, we could cover them now, but I think what's more appropriate is for us to take a quick break.
Do Wall Street Watch.
And then I want to talk about what he said, because Mark's been talking a lot about how Salesforce has both been trying to sell and utilize AI, and I found one of his comments yesterday particularly interesting. So let's take a quick break here, and on the back end of it, we are going to do Wall Street Watch, and then we will talk about Mr. Benioff's AI comments and what it potentially means for the industry.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @TFE Show. Breaking business news is always first, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Let's talk LDL. AKA bad cholesterol. The higher your LDL cholesterol, the higher your risk of a heart attack or stroke. Your health matters. Know your number. Talk to your doctor and get your cholesterol checked. And learn how to help lower your LDL bad cholesterol. Because your health is in your hands. Find out more at heart.org/LDL.
Did you outgrow your timeshare and now you want out? But you can't. You can't sell it, and you can't get out of the contract. Imagine trying to get out of your mortgage. That's what a timeshare is. You can't just call up the bank and say, I don't want to pay it anymore. But we may be able to help you do just that. Listen, a timeshare maybe for you once was a great thing, but now you don't use it much. And they are not easy to get rid of. Plus, you do have to pay for it every month. Qualified timeshare owners can get out of their contract legally and permanently without ruining your credit or even filing bankruptcy. And imagine, no more mortgage payment or fees. Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline qualification line now. It's free to learn more.
800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. 800-455-7967. That's 800-455-7967. Paid for by Timeshare Defense.
Nobody wants to think about estate taxes or nursing home costs. But if you want to protect your money, your home, and everything you've built, you've got to get ahead of it. That's where Cushing & Dolan come in. They're experts in estate planning and elder law, and they've just released a brand new free guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. This guide lays out practical ways to keep your assets safe, and yes, even reduce or completely eliminate your estate taxes. If you already have a plan but aren't sure what your risk looks like, or you've been meaning to start one, this guide gives you exactly what you need to take control. So don't wait. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 and get your free copy of their new guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group. We have a new guide available this month titled Retirement Planning for Spouses. Mike, one of the challenges that spouses face is figuring out how to draw income in retirement and the way to optimize that income, given potentially multiple Social Security payments, portfolios, pensions. Where's a good place to start?
Yeah, of course, with a married couple, you have increased optionality about where your income comes from, which of course means increased complexity and all sorts of different decisions to be made. But yeah, first of all, you've got your Social Security. Depending on the work history of the couple, right, you might be talking about taking your own benefit. You could be taking benefits based on the working income of your spouse. There's no choice to be made there, but there is a choice to be made in terms of timing. When do we start those benefits? What's the age difference between the two of us? If there's a pension involved, what sort of survivorship benefit do we take? Do we consider life insurance as an alternative to that survivor benefit? And then, of course, your portfolio between Roth, traditional, and taxable brokerage accounts. There's a lot of decisions to be made on that side as well. So it's a lot of decision making to be made, and that's where having a good, firm plan about which income starts at what point based on our own life expectancies and taxes is really important.
Folks, the guide is titled Retirement Planning for Spouses, and there are two ways you can request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second is by visiting ArmstrongAdvisory.com. That phone number again is 800-393-4001, or request it at ArmstrongAdvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Time now for Wall Street Watch. A complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Well, markets are mostly quiet as traders sift through weekly jobless claims data and ready for the core PCE index for the latest look at inflation due out tomorrow morning. Right now, the Dow is up merely 27 points. S&P 500 is up 1 single point. NASDAQ is down 1 single point. Russell 2000 is flat. 10-year Treasury yield up 3 basis points at 4.092%. And crude oil up about 1/3% higher, trading just above $59 a barrel. Some breaking news from Meta this morning following reports that Mark Zuckerberg is expected to meaningfully cut resources for building the metaverse, potentially with budget cuts as high as 30% next year. Meta stock rallying 4% on that news. Meanwhile, Salesforce shares rising about 2% after the software company hiked its full-year guidance as its AI product Agentforce gained some traction. As for its third quarter, the company beat earnings forecast but just missed street expectations for its revenue. Elsewhere, cloud software company Snowflake posted a narrow quarterly loss and reported growing demand for its AI agency. However, its outlook for product revenue growth for the January quarter disappointed investors. Additionally, Snowflake agreed to a $200 million deal with AI startup Anthropic. Snowflake shares are plunging 10%. And Dollar General shares jumping 10% after the discount retailer lifted its full-year guidance after topping third-quarter expectations. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And a reminder, you can watch the show live every day on our YouTube page. We'll have breaking business news, and all of our content is also archived. So if you want to go see an interview or discussion about a specific topic, just search the Financial Exchange on YouTube and hit that subscribe button.
Mike, what was it that we were going to get to on AI?
Salesforce, Mark Benioff.
Oh, yeah,
commentary.
Mark Benioff. Right. So here's something that I found interesting when he was talking. So Salesforce, if you're not familiar with them, they are a provider of they started off just doing customer relationship management, CRM software. They've since bought up a bunch of different companies such as Tableau, Slack, and so they've got basically a whole suite of business software that falls under what's called software as a service, SaaS, as a basically kind of their platform. They sell these recurring subscriptions to use their software. It's a very popular model these days. And one of the things they've been doing over the last year and a half is both trying to use AI internally, but also now sell AI tools through what they call their Agentforce platform. And Benioff made a comment yesterday specifically talking about, how they use AI internally. And basically what he said was, look, all of these platforms are basically the same. We use whatever's cheapest. And that, to me, was the first time that anyone in a position of power and knowledge as it relates to artificial intelligence has come out and said that. Because what we've been hearing for the last, few years is, this model's newer and better, and it does this and it does that. And Benioff's no dummy. Like, he sees what's going on in tech, and he sees how all of this is working. And for him to come out and just say, yeah, we use whatever's cheapest, that's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Because he has, in other cases, praised Google's Gemini. I know he's come out and said that. He's also, the other commentary that he's made, and granted, this is what you're going to hear from any CEO that is pushing AI, is basically that, hey, the customer is just catching up to the pace of innovation that we're seeing among these tech companies. And so, yeah, it's okay to be skeptical, but the demand is going to come because of how groundbreaking all this is, which, welcome to every other tech company CEO's earnings calls. That piece is interesting. That is the other piece of all of this, which is the ease of switching. I don't claim to fully understand this, but the ease of switching between generative AI platforms seems to be a pretty crucial requirement for these companies, and it leads to big questions for me, at least, about Google or OpenAI's ultimate value when it comes to these things.
Well, this is actually, I think, a great topic. If you're an individual, let's say that you're not a company, let's say that you're just an individual user, and you've decided, hey, you know what? I like OpenAI the best. I'm gonna pay them $20 a month to use their platform. Is there anything keeping you on that platform and preventing you from going to use Gemini for, I think their base one is like 20 or 25 a month? Is there anything that keeps you there?
Today, no. I suppose one thing that would keep you there, like when I use Gemini, I have all the history of every query that I've done.
You still have that even if you're not paying for it.
Right. Yeah, I guess I would, but do they start to gatekeep some of this stuff?
Maybe. But also, like, how much do I need my history? Like, as an individual, how much do I need my conversation? Like, I've been using LLMs for, I don't know, 2.5 years now.
Sure.
Do you know how many times I've had to go back and be like, hey, what was that thing that I, like, looked up, X long ago?
Yeah.
Maybe once or twice.
It's not like other technologies. It's not Apple, where you need to be in the Apple universe because all of your friends and family are, and you need to be seen wearing an Apple product. It's not Facebook, where all of your friends have a social media page and you've got your history of all your photos and events on your Facebook or Instagram page. It is unlike any of those technologies. I suppose it's a bit more like search,
which you never go back and, like, look at your search history. You just search again.
True. But let me ask this. Is Google the absolute best search engine that's ever existed?
I don't use it.
And yet they have, 90% market dominance.
They do.
So users can easily switch between search engines. They choose not to.
Or in some cases are defaulted into it.
Right. So maybe that's the model for this, and we're over, and maybe we don't need to be concerned about that switching effect.
The counter to that is, so if you look at, like, the areas where there's basically, a winner takes all situation, search is one, operating system is basically another. And again, I say this as someone who, like, I do own a bunch of Apple products, but when you look at market share, Mac doesn't really matter.
Yep.
It's still a tiny fraction relative to Windows as an operating system. All you Linux people out there, good luck. But like it's something where, so you've got, okay, search is kind of a winner-take-all situation. Operating system has been a winner-take-all situation. Other than that, I'm struggling to, like, think of areas where, I guess if you're just looking at, like, document sharing, like, PDFs as the standard.
Sure.
Is something that's out there. So, like, there's a few areas, but more often than not, we've ended up with, like, 3 to 4 big players in a space, or kind of a smattering of smaller ones. Like, there's still consolidation, but it doesn't get to winner take all. And in all of those, the ones that, like, you look at operating system, there's a clear reason why, like, you all need to use the same operating system, right?
Yep.
There's a huge reason why you don't just let people, at a company, like, choose, exactly what they're doing. You need compatibility. So I get it there. The search one is interesting to me because there is no reason why people should just use Google.
Right.
Historically, like, you go back 20 years ago and the answer was it did produce the best search results. I'm just not sure it does anymore. But that might just be that the internet's dying more than anything else. So I guess I just don't know, but it's interesting to me that if this is going to be commoditized, what you did see, if you look at, like, how technology commoditization usually works, you do end up with, like, 2 or 3 companies that dominate the space. Think about on the hardware side, for processing, like, historically for CPUs, it was Intel and AMD.
Mm-hmm.
And Intel basically kept AMD alive just so that they wouldn't get sued for antitrust. Memory, you've got kind of the same thing. Digital storage, same thing. So, like, it might not be winner take all, but it's probably going to be, like, top 3 or 4 take all just because of the scale that you get there, right?
Seems like it. But again, the pace at which these models have been coming out and leapfrogging each other has been fascinating to watch and really calls into question their ultimate value.
And you still don't know who the winner's going to be. Remember, Google was not the first search engine.
I know. I know one thing for certain about winners. They're not all going to be winners.
Correct. We listen. The market does not give participation trophies.
No. Right now they are.
Right now they are. And it's making everyone feel good about themselves, but eventually you got to grow up and you start keeping score. And those participation trophies, you can still hold them, but they're not going to mean much to you, down the road. Let's take a quick break. When we return, I think that's enough like AI and stock bubble talk, right? Like we can
move along.
Right, like I'm good on AI for now. Let's talk Fed after this.
Text us 617-362-1385 with your comments and questions about today's show. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
At the Armstrong Advisory Group, we know that retirement might not be the end of a career, but rather the start of a new chapter you and your spouse get to build together. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong, and the way you plan as a team can make all the difference. That's why we're offering a brand new free guide called Retirement Planning for Spouses. It covers real issues couples face, how much income you'll need, where you want to live, how you'll spend your time, and how to make sure the surviving spouse is protected long-term. Retirement planning isn't one size fits all, and this guide may help you start building a plan that fits both partners, both goals, and both futures. Call the Armstrong Advisory Group right now at 800-393-4001 to get your free copy of our new guide called Retirement Planning for Spouses. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Nobody wants to think about estate taxes or nursing home costs. But if you want to protect your money, your home, and everything you've built, you've got to get ahead of it. That's where Cushing & Dolan come in. They're experts in estate planning and elder law, and they've just released a brand new free guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. This guide lays out practical ways to keep your assets safe, and yes, even reduce or completely eliminate your estate taxes. If you already have a plan but aren't sure what your risk looks like, or you've been meaning to start one, this guide gives you exactly what you need to take control. So don't wait. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 and get your free copy of their new guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. When the holidays roll in and the cold settles over New England, find your escape in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Trade the freezing temps and gray skies for warm sun, turquoise water, and that easy island energy you can feel the second you land. This December through early January, St. Croix ignites with the Crucian Christmas Festival, a celebration over a century old. Frederickstead comes alive with colorful parades, live reggae, and streets filled with the sights and flavors of real Caribbean culture. It's the holiday season with a tropical beat. From there, explore St. Thomas with its duty-free shopping and the legendary views at Maggins Bay. Or slow down on St. John, where quiet beaches and national park trails make every day feel like your own private adventure. Getting there could not be easier. No passport is needed, and there's no money to exchange. Just pack light and step out of the cold into pure sunshine. This holiday season, let yourself fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Visit America's Caribbean paradise, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Go to visitusvi.com and book your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
It happens all over Massachusetts.
Can you tie my shoes?
In every home and every community.
Be careful on your bike.
Learning can happen anytime, anywhere.
We'll see you at practice this weekend.
And no matter how learning takes place in your family's life, DESE is there as your partner. The Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Never stop learning. Find out more at mass.gov/back-to-school.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department for Elementary and Secondary Education.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up because we have something better,
stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red,
the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit GoRedForWomen.org today to learn more.
The Financial Exchange streams live on YouTube. Subscribe to our page and stay up to date on breaking business news all morning long. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
right, so we got a couple different pieces out, one in Bloomberg and one in the Financial Times, discussing how bond investors have basically talked to the US Treasury Department and said, hey, we'd prefer not to see Kevin Hassett running the Fed. And we even have someone on record here, Gregory Peters, the co-chief investment officer at PJM Fixed Income, saying that they're not sure that Hassett would be able to deliver what the president is necessarily looking for when it comes to how the Fed would move not just short-term rates, but potentially be able to influence longer-term rates.
Bluster or real action here? Because ultimately, I don't see any move in yields. Or, I mean, I guess, I don't remember when the president more or less acknowledged that Hassett was the pick, but the lowest we've gotten to over the last month on the 10-year has been 3.99. We're sitting at 4.1 right now. It's not a nothing move, but I don't know that it actually lines up with it, and I don't know that this commentary is actually meaningful if they're not acting upon it.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that this dog's gonna hunt. I just don't know that the market is going to have some kind of freak out about Hassett being named if that's the case. I think, again, this has kind of been telegraphed for quite some time now. I think, it's been something that's been pretty likely probably for the last 4 to 6 months. Is that fair, Mike?
Yeah. So if they're not trying to actually influence things, then they're not placing bets based on their commentary. What is the purpose of this? To lay a stake in the ground that, hey, the Fed still needs to be independent here, and any Fed chair that tries to bring down long-term interest rates is going to fail to do so, just kind of marking their territory on this one so that they can quote it 3 years from now? I'm just
maybe,
trying
but why do
figure
they
it
need
out.
to? Like, what's the point of that? Like,
You're not actually trying to get the president to change his mind, it doesn't seem like.
Well, the president's not going to change his
Right.
mind. Like, he's going to do what he wants to do on this.
Right.
And ultimately, here's the other thing, on this. Hassett is going to end up having to do what the market forces him to do. Like, before Scott Bessent came into office as the Treasury Secretary, Bessent said a lot of stuff over the last year. Some of it was in relation to, hey, I don't like how Janet Yellen is issuing a lot more debt on the, on certain schedules. I would do things differently.
Got there, did the exact same thing.
There's been no shift at all in terms of the maturity schedule for the debt that Bessent has been issuing, because ultimately, when push came to shove, he said, okay, this is what's actually demanded by the market, and if I don't issue this, the market's going to say you need to change your mix, and that's how you end up where you are. So when I look at, whoever it is that's running for Fed chair, whether it's Hassett, whether it's Warsh, whether it's Waller, again, Zervos, you can go through the whole laundry list of people that have been, considered or thrown their hat in the ring. They're all saying, yes, I want to cut, I want to cut, I want to cut. And by the way, as I said yesterday, I'm pretty darn sure that at this point, given what we are seeing from the U.S. labor market, I'm more nervous about, needing to cut in 2026 than, needing to hike. I think labor is going to be the bigger problem next year relative to inflation. But also, you're going to be dictated by what the market shows you. If you have an economy with high growth and inflation starting to build, you're not going to be able to cut.
Right.
If you have an economy with slowing growth and unemployment starting to build, you're going to be able to cut. And so I don't think anyone running for Fed chair is, to the point where they would be like, yeah, even though inflation's going up, I'm just going to cut because that's what I said I was going to do. No, there are no dummies in this list. They're all campaigning in their own way to try to get the president's attention. But ultimately, I don't think anyone that's in the running here is an idiot or anything like that.
When the holidays roll in and the cold settles over New England, find your escape in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Trade the freezing temps and gray skies for warm sun, turquoise water, and that easy island energy you can feel the second you land. This December through early January, St. Croix ignites with the Crucian Christmas Festival, a celebration over a century old. Frederiksted comes alive with colorful parades, live reggae, and streets filled with the sights and flavors of real Caribbean culture. It's the holiday season with the tropical beats. From there, explore St. Thomas with its duty-free shopping and the legendary views at Makin's Bay, or slow down on St. John, where quiet beaches and national park trails make every day feel like your own private adventure. Getting there could not be easier. No passport is needed, and there's no money to exchange. Just pack light and step out of the cold into pure sunshine. This holiday season, let yourself fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Visit America's Caribbean paradise, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Go to visitusvi.com and book your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
Mike, we had a piece in the Financial Times. How will the rise in Japanese bond yields affect global markets?
I don't know.
Remember,
Can you tell me?
Well, here's the thing. So last summer, Japanese bond yields were rising, and that in conjunction with a couple other things kind of broke markets for a week or two last August. It ultimately, ended up being something that was a non-factor for the long term, but it caused some pretty significant volatility for about a week or so. And I'm skeptical something will happen similarly, just because, again, once you've seen a problem and everyone's aware of it, then, market participants generally, set their portfolios up such that they're like, oh, I won't make the same mistake twice. In doing so, they might make entirely new mistakes, but it's really kind of rare that you see the same problem bite markets in the same way, in that I'm not sure there's a direct spill through to equity markets the way there was last year, but could rising Japanese bond yields put pressure on global bond yields and almost...
Could it make Hassett's job tougher?
Could it make Hassett's job tougher? You're darn right it could. It's absolutely a possibility there. Let's take a quick break. We got hour 2 coming up in a little bit.
Sometimes we know what's next. Other times, it's impossible to know. Life can change in an instant. Don't be caught standing by the next time someone's heart stops. Knowing CPR gives you the ability to act and takes you from bystander to lifesaver. CPR is a life-saving skill. Join the nation of lifesavers today by learning CPR at heart.org/nation. National support for CPR education provided by Elevance Health Foundation.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you from Senior Care USA. The average funeral now costs over $10,000. That leaves your loved ones the burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay your family up to $30,000 to help pay for your funeral and other expenses. There are no medical exams, your rates will never increase, and your plan cannot be canceled, regardless of your medical conditions, as long as you make your premium payments. Get up to $30,000 in final expense insurance. Call now for free information. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. That's 800-378-3818.
Mark Vonner is the CEO of Veterans Development Corporation. Mark faithfully served his country from 1981 to 1984, and we're thrilled to have him as a partner and presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. Mark comes from a proud military family that includes his father Victor and brother Timmy. Mark talks often about how serving his country was one of the greatest achievements of his life, and it's one of the main reasons he chooses to give back to this special community. Mark is honored to continue the legacy that his father started when he built Veterans Development Corporation. Working to help many disabled veterans and their families has become a lifelong goal for Mark, and it's why he's taken the time to fully support the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. You can join Mark and help our great American heroes today by making a donation to support the DAV Department of Massachusetts. Please visit DAV5K.Boston. That's DAV5K.Boston.
Here at the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, we are committed to all students not only attending, but succeeding at school. Your presence is powerful. Share why you attend at doe.mass.edu.
Sponsored by the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
This is the Money Matters Radio Network, WBNW 1120 AM and W275 CM FM, Concord, Boston. The Money Matters Radio Network.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
We're proud to announce that Circle K is now the official convenience store of the DAV Department of Massachusetts. At Circle K, supporting those who bravely served our country isn't just a commitment, it's a heartfelt mission. Circle K is honored to stand with the DAV Department of Massachusetts to ensure that veterans receive the care and recognition they deserve. If you'd like to do your part, please visit davma.org. Thank you for standing with Circle K and the DAV Department of Massachusetts, and thank you, veterans, for all you've done.
When the holidays roll in and the cold settles over New England, find your escape in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Trade the freezing temps and gray skies for warm sun, turquoise water, and that easy island energy you can feel the second you land. This December through early January, St. Croix ignites with the Crucian Christmas Festival, a celebration over a century old. Frederickstead comes alive with colorful parades, live reggae, and streets filled with the sights and flavors of real Caribbean culture. It's the holiday season with a tropical beat. From there, explore St. Thomas with its duty-free shopping and the legendary views at Maggins Bay. Or slow down on St. John, where quiet beaches and national park trails make every day feel like your own private adventure. Getting there could not be easier. No passport is needed, and there's no money to exchange. Just pack light and step out of the cold into pure sunshine. This holiday season, let yourself fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Visit America's Caribbean paradise, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Go to visitusvi.com and book your trip today. That's visitusvi.com. If you're retired or getting close, now's the perfect time to take a fresh look at your estate plan. Doing your planning early can help you protect your assets and keep more of your wealth in your family. Cushing & Dolan, the leaders in elder law and taxation, have put together a new guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. And in it, you'll learn how to secure your assets if you ever need long-term care, how to avoid having everything tied up in probate, and how to get a clearer picture of your estate tax exposure. The guide also breaks down real options that may help you reduce or even eliminate your estate taxes when you plan the right way and plan early. Whether you have an existing estate plan or starting from scratch, this guide makes it easy to understand what steps could help you and your family in the long run. To get your free copy, call Cushing & Dolan at 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hi, this is Chuck and Mike from the Armstrong Advisory Group, and we have a guide available this month titled Retirement Planning for Spouses. Mike, one of the things that I think is really important to focus on are some of the tax planning items that spouses need to consider basically every single year, especially if there are any kind of age differences between two spouses.
Yeah, real life example here. I was working with somebody recently who spouse just retired and they were trying to figure out where their income is going to come from this year, and the idea of taking some money out of the IRA came up. And so it was a decision, whose do we take it out of, whose is bigger? And the decision ultimately was, we're going to go with the older spouse here because they are going to commence their required minimum distributions earlier.
And so when you're trying to formulate those decisions, whether it's an RMD that you need to consider or potentially, Roth conversions, it's something where the decisions you make 1 year can have lasting impacts 10, 20 years down the road, depending on the family.
They most certainly can. Again, when you have a married couple, there's increased options in terms of what to do, but that means increased complexity. Things like the widower's tax when you lose a spouse, especially if there's a big age difference down the road. These are things that you can and should plan for because they can make an immense difference in the success of your retirement strategy.
Folks, the guide is titled Retirement Planning for Spouses, and there are two ways you can request it. The first is by calling 800-393-4001. The second is by visiting ArmstrongAdvisory.com. That phone number again is 800-393-4001, or request it at ArmstrongAdvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. The Financial Exchange is produced by Money Matters Radio and is hosted by employees of the Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. All opinions expressed are solely those of the hosts, do not reflect the opinions of Armstrong Advisory or anyone else. Investments can lose money. This program does not offer any specific financial or investment advice. Please consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong Advisory and the advertisers heard on this program do not endorse each other or their services. Armstrong and Money Matters Radio do not compensate each other for referrals and are not affiliated. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong. Your exclusive look at business and financial news affecting your day, your city, your world. Stay informed and up to date about economic and market trends, plus breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is a proud partner of the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. Help us support our great American heroes by visiting dav5k.boston and making a donation today. This is the Financial Exchange with Chuck Zodda and Mike Armstrong.
Chuck, Mike, Tucker with you today, and as we kick things off, we got a little bit of red on the board, but let's not all freak out about it. The S&P's down 13 points. It's about 0.25%. Dow is off 12 points. It's not even 0.1%. The NASDAQ Composite is off 63 points, about 0.25%. Again, just not anything of note. I don't think there's anything huge moving in markets right now. 10-year Treasury is up 4.4 basis points to 4.102%. Dollar index down another 0.04% to 98.76. We got gold up $4.30 an ounce to $42.36.80. Crude oil is, let's see, where's that puppy today? $59.50 a barrel, up 56 cents a barrel. I will point out, by the way, I don't know, Mike, have you been paying attention to what's been going on the nat gas front recently?
No.
So nat gas yesterday cleared the $5 per million BTUs for the first time since 2022. To put this in perspective, at this time last year, nat gas was trading at about $3.10, and so at $5, it's up 66% in the span of a year. Most of this in the last month or so. Why this matters, if it were to stay in this range, Mike, what is the single heaviest input for power generation in the United States?
Nat gas.
So those of you hoping for lower electricity prices next year, if this price stays where it is, could get a little bit of it might not be very good for us on the electricity price side if nat gas prices stay in this $5 range. I have no idea if they will or won't. Ultimately, nat gas prices are a function of how much do you produce, largely through fracking and things like that, which, again, new wells are declining right now because with oil prices so low, you don't have an incentive to drill for oil, and most nat gas produced in the U.S. is a byproduct of fracking and things like that. The other piece is the demand side. Mike, do you know how cold it's going to be this winter?
Very.
Well, like relative to normal.
No, I have no idea.
I'm not a weatherman. You know, like it's not.
Even if you were, I don't think you would know how cold the weather's going to be this winter.
Listen, let's not disparage our weather friends. Okay,
I'm not disparaging. They don't know what the weather's going to be 3 months from now.
They do.
No,
they probably don't. Even they would say they don't. But again, weathermen and economists share an awful lot because we're trying to make forecasts based on imperfect data that's always changing. And so I always defend our brethren in meteorology because they've got a tough job. It's not easy. So in any case, you got nat gas prices that are moving up here, and that bears watching just in the event that they stay in this range. Okay, Barron's. I love that Tucker puts this in. He just knows. He just knows it's going to get a rise out of me. Why Friday is make or break for the stock market.
Oh, this went in my Festivus pile.
And the first two sentences. The stock market isn't really doing much of anything now. Friday will set its true direction. Why the heck does Friday matter for the stock market?
Oh, also, expect big moves in all of these stocks on Friday.
Ooh. I'm intrigued. Tell me more, Michael. Why is Friday, which Friday's tomorrow, right?
It is, yeah.
Why is December 5th the most important day of the year for the stock market?
First of all, it is not.
Oh,
just very clearly.
Interesting.
Not important day for the stock market. You will have an inflation reading. It's probably going to surprise nobody.
Is it like new inflation data?
No, it's old.
When's it from, Mike?
Like September.
Oh, is anyone going to make any investment decisions based on September inflation data?
No.
So
it's useless.
Like I really struggle with pieces like this. Again, that just I don't think even accurately capture, whether this inflation reading is important or not. Which the answer is it's not. Like
I haven't read much worse clickbait this week. This might be clickbait of the week.
What inflation was 3 months ago is not relevant to Fed policy today. It is not going to have an impact on the Fed meeting next week. And that's all I have to say about that.
What has to happen in markets for this story to be proven true tomorrow? I would say to you that you need to have a greater than 1.5% swing in equity markets, one direction or another tomorrow for this story to be even close to the truth.
I mean,
with no other announcements, right? It has to be all on inflation.
I don't think it's going to be related to inflation.
Yeah.
And here's why. Like, you look at... Here's the thing about PCE inflation, all right? I'm going to tell everyone the truth about PCE inflation, so huddle up, okay? Everyone knows what PCE inflation is going to be before it's released. And it's not because anyone has any inside information. It's because all of the big investment banks and their inflation teams have gotten so good at extrapolating the inputs from CPI and PPI that we know basically within like a couple hundredths of a percentage point where the PCE reading is going to come in. It doesn't surprise anyone when it's released anymore because the banks have all gotten really good at predicting it. And so even though PCE is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, all other inflation measures are just sparkling inflation. They're not the champagne of inflation. Even though the PCE is the Fed's preferred inflation method, it's not something that investors get surprised by at this point because they've gotten so good at predicting it. It's one of the least exciting reports released every month.
Yeah, this is going to surprise nobody. And if markets move tomorrow, it won't be because of it.
No. The only way that you could get, the market moving is if there was a huge surprise, but there just aren't. Like, you're not going to get inflation printing like 6% for the month or negative 2% for the month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I appreciate Tucker getting this in there because it's nice to see him, doing what's important.
Just calling out clickbait.
It is. Well, and it gets us excited, too.
It does. Chuck, in the first hour we were talking about the job market, and I want to return there. We got a weekly jobless claims number that showed, at least last week, there weren't a whole lot of new filings for unemployment, but we described the labor market as generally weak. And no matter which way you measure it, the unemployment rate is up over the last 3 years. The pace of hiring is down. The ratio of unemployed to job openings is not as strong as it was a few years ago. So we concluded that's the case. We also called some data from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, quote, crap, which I'm sure we'll take some crap over. Can we explain why we feel this way? Because Challenger, Gray, and Christmas is reporting that the layoff announcements in 2025 are the worst we've seen since 2020. And on the surface, that would make me really scared about my job.
So, here's why I believe that the numbers from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas are crap. It's not because they actually have bad data. They have good data. I'm sure they collect, really good data on layoff announcements. The piece that was on CNBC this morning said it was something along the lines of, hey, there have been, 1.1 million announced layoffs this year. It's the highest since year whatever. So, you get the headlines that come out off of it. Mike, in a given month, there are more than 1 million layoffs in the United States. There are. If you look at it, there's 160 million people employed in the United States right now. And when we look at the level of labor turnover, okay, and specifically, I'm going to pull the data right from the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey report, the JOLTS report, which we get each month from the federal government. And what the JOLTS rate says, the JOLTS rate for layoffs, I'm looking at it right here. It's not quits, it's not hires. It specifically is U.S. layoffs and discharges. It's 1.1%, which means that in a population of 160 million people, you are having about 1.7 million layoffs and discharges on a monthly basis. The 1.1 million in announced layoffs that are captured by Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, if we were to believe that this has some extrapolation value, okay, then what you would see is, because these, announced layoffs have gone up, layoffs across the broader employment market must have gone up as well. And in fact, that's not what we're seeing, because when we actually look at the layoffs and discharges rate, it's been basically at 1.1% for the last 4.5 years now, since March of 21. That's why I call that data crap, is because it's not predictive in any way, shape, or form to the actual larger, broader data that is both measured on a regular basis and then used to inform policy. The Federal Reserve does not look at the Challenger, Gray, and Christmas data because it's useless.
It's useful if your company happens to make a layoff announcement and you missed it. Other than that, I don't find it useful.
Which, again, if you missed it, it means that you're still employed. Right? Because, so I don't think there's a viable signal there. Historically, it does have a correlation with continuing unemployment claims. But even there, it's tenuous at best. Not every cycle sees it through. It's not a one-to-one thing. There's a divergence in a number of business cycles, and so it's just not predictive of the actual economic data that's used to make policy. And so that's why I call it crap. It's not because Challenger, Gray, and Christmas is doing a bad job collecting or publishing it. It's just that it's not useful in markets or economic forecasting.
All right, there's our rant of the day. Quick break. Ted Rossman from Bankrate joining us for holiday tipping next on the Financial Exchange.
This is your home for the most comprehensive coverage of the economy and the trends on Wall Street. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Mark Varner is the CEO of Veterans Development Corporation. Mark faithfully served his country from 1981 to 1984, and we're thrilled to have him as a partner and presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. Mark comes from a proud military family that includes his father Victor and brother Timmy. Mark talks often about how serving his country was one of the greatest achievements of his life, and it's one of the main reasons he chooses to give back to this special community. Mark is honored to continue the legacy that his father started when he built Veterans Development Corporation. Working to help many disabled veterans and their families has become a lifelong goal for Mark, and it's why he's taken the time to fully support the Disabled American Veterans Department of Massachusetts. You can join Mark and help our great American heroes today by making a donation to support the DAV Department of Massachusetts. Please visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
The Armstrong Advisory Group understands retirement planning, and when it comes to married couples, it can be about more than money. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong, and our new guide called Retirement Planning for Spouses tackles many issues that couples face as they're preparing for later life. This guide keeps things simple, focusing on important matters such as making sure both partners understand where their money's coming from in retirement, being aware of scams, how to stay organized if one spouse outlives the other, and ways to handle gifts, donations, or legacy goals as a team. It's a straightforward look at the steps every couple can take to feel confident about retirement. Call the Armstrong Advisory Group right now at 800-393-4001 to get your free copy of Retirement Planning for Spouses. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services. Nobody wants to think about estate taxes or nursing home costs. But if you want to protect your money, your home, and everything you've built, you've got to get ahead of it. That's where Cushing & Dolan come in. They're experts in estate planning and elder law, and they've just released a brand new free guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. This guide lays out practical ways to keep your assets safe, and yes, even reduce or completely eliminate your estate taxes. If you already have a plan but aren't sure what your risk looks like, or you've been meaning to start one, this guide gives you exactly what you need to take control. So don't wait. Call Cushing & Dolan today at 866-848-5699 and get your free copy of their new guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. That's LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and/or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated.
Hey, listen, are you a 50-year-old person looking for term life insurance? Then you need to talk to Bob. Bob specializes in helping people find $1 million or more of term life insurance for a couple of $100 a month. Look, you need to know there's a price war in the term life insurance business, and you may be paying too much. Call Bob, and he'll shop and see how much money he can save you. Look, this could be the last term life insurance policy you ever have. Your rates are guaranteed for the next 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rates for the next 20 years. And if you're a smoker or your health is not perfect, Bob has great rates for you too. So for $1 million of term life insurance coverage for a couple of $100 a month, call Bob right now. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. 800-965-7987. That's 800-965-7987. Paid for by Term Direct.
The Financial Exchange is now available every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Stay informed about the latest from Wall Street, fiscal policy, and breaking business news every day. The Financial Exchange is live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
This segment of the Financial Exchange is powered by Circle K Convenience Stores. Circle K is now the official convenience store of the DAV Department of Massachusetts. On behalf of Circle K, thank you, veterans, for all you've done.
As promised, we're now joined by Ted Rossman from Bankrate, here to talk about their 2025 holiday tipping survey. Ted, how are you today?
Doing well. Good to be here.
Ted, what kind of feelings do Americans have about tipping this holiday season?
In general, people are pretty fed up with tipping. We see about 6 in 10 Americans have a negative view towards the practice. A lot of people are just annoyed about those pre-entered tip screens at coffee shops and elsewhere, and just the constant invitations to tip. Now, specific to the holidays, people actually feel a bit more generous, and they kind of separate some of that annoyance. The holiday tip tends to be more of a once-a-year show of appreciation for service workers in our lives, like housekeepers and babysitters and people like that, we found that the frequency of tipping is down a little bit, but the amounts that people are giving are holding steady or even increasing a little bit. That feels like further evidence of the K-shaped economy. Basically, higher earners are propping up the overall numbers.
When you look at how things compare to, kind of prior years, are there any specific areas where we might be seeing some differences compared to, the last 2 or 3 years, or is it basically, the same in most key areas?
There are some interesting and somewhat conflicting kind of trends here because on one hand, among the things we asked about, which I should say were housekeepers, childcare providers, landscapers, teachers, mail carriers, and trash collectors, in those 6 categories, in every single one, fewer people are tipping this year than they did last year. So that's not a great thing. But if we zoom out a little bit, in all these categories, except for one which was flat, which was mail carriers, the other 5, more people are tipping now than were back in 2021. So it's like the long-term trend is better than the short-term one. The amounts are interesting as well. The amounts have actually been quite steady the past few years. And generally speaking, we're talking somewhere between $20 and $50 per service provider, depending on the category. The median was highest for housekeepers and landscapers. That was $50 a person. Childcare provider was close. And then it was quite a bit lower for mail carriers, $20, teachers, $25, trash and recycling collectors, $25. Those actually really have not changed that much year over year or even in the last 5 years. A couple of the categories went up a little bit over 5 years. That would be landscapers and trash and recycling collectors. But for the most part, it's actually been a little more stable than year-round tipping. We've actually seen a more steady decline in the year-round tips. Like people are tipping worse at restaurants. They're tipping worse at hair salons. Holiday tipping is kind of holding its own.
What about demographically? Any demographic differences that you've seen?
Generally speaking, older people are better tippers. Higher income people are definitely better tippers. That often goes hand in hand. Men are interesting because men are kind of boom or bust tippers. Like they're more likely to give a good tip and they're more likely to give nothing at all. Women are more consistent, even if the amounts tend to be a little bit lower. We're painting with a fairly broad brush here, but
sure.
In general, a lot of young people don't like the whole tipping culture. A lot of Gen Zers in particular kind of push back on some of it from a social justice standpoint. And it's like, well, it's not fair. We shouldn't be doing this. If you work in a restaurant and you get a table of Gen Zers, statistically, they're going to be the worst tippers. I would say, though, that fighting the tipping culture is hard, especially nowadays, because it's just everywhere. It's the coffee shop. It's the food truck. I mean, I was asked to tip at a self-checkout machine at Newark Airport. We are being asked for tips in more places, and a lot of people resent that. But if you don't tip, I'm not saying you need to tip in all those situations, but like if you don't tip at a restaurant or you don't tip the food delivery person or you don't tip the rideshare driver or your hairstylist, they're really missing out. I do think around the holidays, though, people are tipping more out of generosity, and they're tipping more generously when they really know the person. If it's a housekeeper in your home every week or a regular babysitter or nanny, they're going to get a better tip than the mail carrier or the trash collector that you might just not see as much.
Very good. Ted, appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for sharing the results of your tipping survey with us.
Anytime. Thank you.
That is Ted Rossman from Bankrate talking about tipping.
All right, we'll do trivia quick here on the Financial Exchange. And on this day in 1988, Roy Orbison performed his final concert. Orbison sadly passed away 2 days after a heart attack. At the time of his death, Orbison was a member of a supergroup with George Harrison, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and Jeff Lynne. So, trivia question today. What was the name of the supergroup that featured Roy Orbison? Once again, what was the name of the supergroup that featured Roy Orbison? Be the sixth person today to text us at 617-362-1385 with the correct answer, along with the keyword trivia, and you win a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt. Once again, the sixth correct response to text us to the number 617-362-1385. Along with the keyword trivia, will win that t-shirt. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Taking a look at markets as we head towards the bottom of the hour. Basically, all three major U.S. indices down about 0.1%. Not much movement in either direction. A pretty boring day to this point in equity markets. Bond markets getting a little bit more exciting. Again, yields continuing to rise there. But, again, equities not really moving too much. Quick break here. When we return, we got the trivia answer and Wall Street Watch.
Bringing the latest financial news straight to your radio every day. It's the Financial Exchange on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Environmental nonprofit Ocean River Institute is working with communities to tackle climate change with nature-based solutions that feature slowing water down and building more soil with grasses and plants. Research indicates that people acting in their own neighborhoods can build an inch of soil in a year and slow sea level rise down by as much as 25%. Please visit oceanriver.org for more information on opportunities to make a difference and go the distance for savvy stewardship of a greener and bluer planet Earth.
Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women,
taking the lives of 1 in 3.
That's more than all forms of cancer combined.
For too long, heart disease and stroke have taken the lives of the women we love.
But we're not giving up because we have something better,
stronger, more powerful.
We have each other.
When we come together and go red, the more power we have against our greatest health threat.
Visit goredforwomen.org today to learn more.
Mark Vonner is the CEO of Veterans Development Corporation. Mark is a career military man, having served for nearly 20 years, and we are so thrilled to have him and his company as a key partner and the presenting sponsor of the DAV 5K Boston. Mark comes from a proud military family, including his father Victor and his brother Timmy. Mark talks often about how serving his country was one of the greatest achievements of his life, and that's one of the key reasons that he chooses to give back to this special community. Mark is honored to continue his legacy that his father started when he built Veterans Development Corporation. Working to help many disabled veterans and their families has become a lifelong goal for Mark, and it's why he's taken the time to fully support the DAV Department of Massachusetts. You can join Mark Vonner and Veterans Development Corporation and help our great American heroes today by making a donation or becoming a sponsor. Simply visit dav5k.boston. That's dav5k.boston.
The Armstrong Advisory Group understands retirement planning, and when it comes to married couples, it can be about more than money. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong, and our new guide called Retirement Planning for Spouses tackles many issues that couples face as they're preparing for later life. This guide keeps things simple, focusing on important matters such as making sure both partners understand where their money's coming from in retirement, being aware of scams, how to stay organized if one spouse outlives the other, and ways to handle gifts, donations, or legacy goals as a team. It's a straightforward look at the steps every couple can take to feel confident about retirement. Call the Armstrong Advisory Group right now at 800-393-4001 to get your free copy of Retirement Planning for Spouses. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
This is Tucker Silva of the Financial Exchange Show, and I'm joined today by estate planning attorney Todd Lutzke from the law firm of Cushing & Dolan with your Financial Exchange quick tip of the day. And today, we're talking about estate tax reduction and asset protection strategies that can help reduce or eliminate your estate taxes. Todd, there are some high net worth clients that would like to reduce the size of their estate, but they don't want to give up access to their assets. Is there anything they can do?
There certainly is, folks. So this is a combination of things. One, you obviously want to do your basic estate planning first. Get your foundation in place, the basic revocable trust planning to help utilize whatever exemptions you don't use up through gifting. Now, when we talk about reducing the estate, we are talking about gifting. But as you said, they don't want to lose control. So there are these special trusts that are designed called spousal lifetime access trusts, where in essence, you use an LLC to keep control of the investments, manage the investments, and make distributions. And then the non-voting shares get put into these irrevocable trusts where you have each other's spouse has access to the assets. So there's a way of getting the assets into those irrevocable trusts, which are now growing outside of your estate tax-free, while at the same time working together to keep control and use what's in those trusts.
The law firm of Cushing & Dolan have been helping families like yours for more than 40 years. Request your copy of Todd's brand new guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or you can request the guide from their website, legalexchangeshow.com.
The proceeding was paid for and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Armstrong do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. Time now for Wall Street Watch. A complete look at what's moving markets so far today, right here on the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
Pretty quiet day on Wall Street to this point as investors sift through weekly jobless claims data and ready for the core PCE index for the latest look at inflation due out tomorrow morning. Right now, the Dow is down merely 0.1% or 50 points lower. S&P 500 is dipping 5 points. NASDAQ also off by only 5 points. Russell 2000 is up 0.2%. 10-year Treasury yield up 4 basis points at 4.104%. And crude oil up just over 1% higher, trading at $59.63 a barrel. Breaking news from Meta this morning following reports that Mark Zuckerberg is expected to meaningfully cut resources for building the metaverse, potentially with budget cuts as high as 30% next year. Meta stock is climbing about 4%. Meanwhile, Salesforce rising over 2% higher after the software company hiked its full-year guidance as its AI product Agentforce gained some traction. As for its third quarter, the company beat earnings forecasts but just missed expectations for its revenue. Elsewhere, cloud software company Snowflake posted a narrow quarterly loss and reported growing demand for its AI agent. However, its outlook for product revenue growth for the January quarter disappointed. Additionally, Snowflake agreed to a $200 million deal with AI startup Anthropic. Snowflake shares now down 11%. And Dollar General shares are jumping 10% higher after the discount retailer lifted its full-year guidance after topping third quarter expectations. I'm Tucker Silva, and that is Wall Street Watch. And last segment, we asked the trivia question, what was the name of the super group that featured Roy Orbison? That would be the Traveling Wilburys. Phil from Plastow, New Hampshire is our winner today, taking home a Financial Exchange Show t-shirt, and we play trivia every day here on the Financial Exchange. See complete contest rules at financialexchangeshow.com.
Mike, we got a piece in the Wall Street Journal. 3 year-end tax strategies that can cut your 2025 tax bill. That sounds fun.
Yeah. These are not to be dismissed. There is still time to max out your retirement plan, hypothetically. I don't know how many pay periods are left, but you can jack up that
take no salary for
contribution
the next month.
rate. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you got to leave enough in there to pay for your benefits, but you could bump that up as high as it can go. Obviously charitable giving, just understand, the limitations on how much you can deduct and where that's going to come from and, how it's actually going to affect your taxes before you do it. Tax losses, good luck. I mean, unless you bought crypto like a month and a half ago, I don't know where you're going to find your tax losses in your portfolio, but maybe.
A lot of the S&P 500, if you're a buyer of individual companies,
yeah, you can find some in there.
The average S&P 500 stock is not near its all-time high right now, despite the index being there.
So the other side of this, though, that I like to talk about is people always focus on, hey, how can I minimize this year's tax bill? And there's something to be said for that. But far too often, they do so at the risk of paying a whole boatload of taxes in the not-so-distant future. Right? How many people have you talked to who retire and they're like, oh, it's been great. I've paid no taxes the last 3 years. And then you just kind of, you don't giggle because that's mean. But you look at it and you're like, that sounds great, but you're going to pay like an average effective tax rate of 27% now for the rest of your life because you didn't do the planning that you should have. And so when looking at minimizing taxes, it is not a year-to-year plan that you should be doing. It is not a, hey, how do I minimize my taxes this year? You need to be thinking about how do you minimize your taxes over a lifetime. Otherwise, it's quite honestly just a useless exercise. I can't tell you the number of people that just fell into that exact scenario I talked about. I remember meeting with somebody that was turning 70 that year, and he told me, I have paid $0 in taxes for the last decade. And I had to walk through, and I'm like, yeah, at that point in time, your required minimums started at 70 and a half, and I had to break the news, like, yeah, that's great, but now you are going to be paying Massachusetts plus federal taxes on this massive required minimum distribution that you should have been spreading out. Tax planning is a critical part of financial planning at just about every stage of life. If you have questions about how you can integrate that into your overall plan, if you're not doing it today, learn more by calling Armstrong Advisory at 800-393-4001. You can also book time to chat with us at armstrongadvisory.com. But again, nobody enjoys paying taxes, but believe it or not, there can be good reasons to do so preemptively and prepay what you might owe in the future. Call Armstrong Advisory, 800-393-4001.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Mike, I want to do a little holiday scam warning, if that's cool.
Sure.
And specifically ones here that are, more, unique to this time of year. Bunch them out there in terms of text messages saying that you have a package that's delayed. Click this link to reschedule your delivery.
Get those every day.
Never, ever do that. Wherever you ordered from, pull up the original order email that you received from the merchant, whether it is Amazon, whether it is, Jim's Taco Kit Construction, whatever, whoever it might be.
Yeah, Jim's Taco Construction is a major organization these days.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
In any case, go find the original email, find either the customer service number on it or the customer service email on it, and reach out through that method. Not the person who just texted you, because there's like a 98% chance that it's a scam.
Yeah.
Occasionally those are real, which is confusing. And again, I always check these, and I occasionally find one that is real, and you're like, oh, that's weird. I wouldn't have expected it. But in any case, most of the time, scam. Other ones, if you see an ad while you're on the website that says, like, hey, 90% off sale going on, be very careful that you are actually clicking on a legitimate ad and not one taking you to a scam website. Even on legitimate sites, there are illegitimate ads. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you can be on Facebook and click an ad and think you're going to see, like, Williams-Sonoma, and you're actually going to, like, Williams No Money More. And, like, that's the name of the website, but you're not paying attention to the address, and then they basically take your credit card and stuff.
Where I'm seeing AI get implemented in this, I know we've warned about what's coming, which I think eventually is voice replication on phone calls and scary stuff like that. I haven't seen a lot of that firsthand yet, but where I am seeing a ton of it, AI is clearly scraping business websites.
Yep.
And putting together scam emails based on what they find on your company's website. So, hey, you've got these 13 employees. Great, I'm going to spam all of them, and AI is going to create an email that looks and sounds like it's coming from your CEO and is, in fact, nothing of the sort. Where I think that goes next is probably AI sorting through social media and trying to build good, successful scams based on what's happening on your Facebook and Instagram profile, but we're not, from what I can tell, quite there yet. But yeah, if you are still working today and your website or your email address is out there, be prepared for those scam emails to come in that way.
You know which one I actually got that recently was real? So I woke up one morning and I have a trip scheduled in like March of next year that I'm staying in an Airbnb. I got a text message saying, your Airbnb has been canceled. Click here to reschedule. And immediately I'm just like, no, not real. I pull up the Airbnb website and it's like, oh, your trip's been canceled. Like, click here to try to reschedule. Because I didn't know that a host could actually cancel your trip.
Oh, sure.
Right, like, they can just do that, I guess?
Absolutely.
Didn't know. I figured like once you booked, you were good. Turned out that the host actually decided to sell their property, and so they canceled like everything. But I saw the text message, and it was just literally, it didn't say like from Airbnb or anything. It was just, your trip's been canceled. Click here. And then I saw like I had an email also. I was like, okay, like something might actually be up. Let's go check. And it was, but it didn't come across in a particularly professional manner. You know? So I found that kind of interesting. But most of the time, my assumption is it's a scam. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, Stack Roulette.
Hear the Financial Exchange every day from 11 to noon on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. Keep it here for the latest business and financial news and the trends on Wall Street. The Financial Exchange is now live on SiriusXM's Business Radio Channel 132. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
We're proud to announce that Circle K is now the official convenience store of the DAV Department of Massachusetts. At Circle K, supporting those who bravely served our country isn't just a commitment, it's a heartfelt mission. Circle K is honored to stand with the DAV Department of Massachusetts to ensure that veterans receive the care and recognition they deserve. If you'd like to do your part, please visit davma.org. Thank you for standing with Circle K and the DAV Department of Massachusetts, and thank you, veterans, for all you've done.
Make protecting your assets easier by getting Cushing & Dolan's new guide called Balancing Asset Protection and Avoiding Estate Taxes. You'll learn how to keep your assets out of the nursing home and get strategies that may help reduce or even eliminate your estate taxes. Get your copy right now by calling 866-848-5699. That's 866-848-5699. Or request it online at LegalExchangeShow.com. The proceeding was paid for, and the views expressed are solely those of Cushing & Dolan. Cushing & Dolan and or Armstrong Advisory may contact you offering legal or investment services. Cushing & Dolan and Armstrong Advisory do not endorse each other and are not affiliated. When the holidays roll in and the cold settles over New England, find your escape in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Trade the freezing temps and gray skies for warm sun, turquoise water, and that easy island energy you can feel the second you land. This December through early January, St. Croix ignites with the Crucian Christmas Festival, a celebration over a century old. Frederickstead comes alive with colorful parades, live reggae, and streets filled with the sights and flavors of real Caribbean culture. It's the holiday season with a tropical beat. From there, explore St. Thomas with its duty-free shopping and the legendary views at Maggins Bay. Or slow down on St. John, where quiet beaches and national park trails make every day feel like your own private adventure. Getting there could not be easier. No passport is needed, and there's no money to exchange. Just pack light and step out of the cold into pure sunshine. This holiday season, let yourself fall naturally in rhythm with the heartbeat of the islands. Visit America's Caribbean paradise, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Go to visitusvi.com and book your trip today. That's visitusvi.com.
The Armstrong Advisory Group understands retirement planning, and when it comes to married couples, it can be about more than money. Hi, this is Mike Armstrong, and our new guide called Retirement Planning for Spouses tackles many issues that couples face as they're preparing for later life. This guide keeps things simple, focusing on important matters such as making sure both partners understand where their money's coming from in retirement, being aware of scams, how to stay organized if one spouse outlives the other, and ways to handle gifts, donations, or legacy goals as a team. It's a straightforward look at the steps every couple can take to feel confident about retirement. Call the Armstrong Advisory Group right now at 800-393-4001 to get your free copy of Retirement Planning for Spouses. That's 800-393-4001, or you can request it online at armstrongadvisory.com.
The proceeding was paid for by Armstrong Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Nothing in the ad or in any Armstrong guide is specific financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult your own financial, tax, and estate planning advisors before making any investment decisions. Armstrong may contact you to offer investment advisory services.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you from Senior Care USA. The average funeral now costs over $10,000. That leaves your loved ones the burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay your family up to $30,000 to help pay for your funeral and other expenses. There are no medical exams, your rates will never increase, and your plan cannot be canceled, regardless of your medical conditions, as long as you make your premium payments. Get up to $30,000 in final expense insurance. Call now for free information. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. 800-378-3818. That's 800-378-3818.
Find daily interviews and full shows of the Financial Exchange on our YouTube page. Get caught up on anything and everything you might have missed. This is the Financial Exchange Radio Network.
This segment of the Financial Exchange is brought to you by the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. There's still time to book your holiday vacation to St. Croix, St. Thomas, or St. John. Enjoy one or all three, and if you act fast, you could be on St. Croix to experience their Crucian Christmas Festival, taking place this December through early January. Discover the magic of this long-standing tradition with incredible food, music, and entertainment, or just go soak up the sun, stroll along white sand beaches, and feel the rhythm of the heartbeat of the islands. The USVI is America's Caribbean paradise. Plan your winter escape now at visitusvi.com. That's visitusvi.com.
Mike, what do you got for Stack Roulette?
Fat cats.
Ah,
That's what I'm going with. I sent this story to my wife about our own cat, who is not nearly as fat as this picture of a cat on this story. But the drug industry is testing out GLP-1 implants for cats, which I'm just kind of confused about how we test drugs these days to start with. Like, isn't it usually you test it on animals first, see how it goes, and then like, oh yeah, it worked fairly well in rodents. Let's try it on a cat or a dog or a chimpanzee. Oh yeah, it worked pretty well there. Let's test it on humans. We seem to have rolled it out to humans, and now we're going back to cats on this one. So a little confusing. Also, with my pets at least, I feed them, and so if I'm worried about them gaining weight, like I get how this is different with a human being, with more control over their independence. But my animals, we determine how much food they get. And so if they become too fat, rather than putting them on a $1,000 a month GLP-1 drug, I'd probably just cut some of their food. Am I missing something here?
No, it's my thoughts exactly.
I know you can't make your dog or cat exercise necessarily, but
what are we trying to do here?
Make our cats sexier.
Like, what are we trying to do here? This is a solution in search of a problem. It's like, let's just call it what it is. It's a solution in search of a problem.
Yeah.
You do not need to Ozempicify your cat. Okay.
Cat Zempic.
Right, you do not need Cat Zempic or what's the other one?
Oh, look at its cheekbones.
right, like
what?
Oh, your dog's canines are really prominent now. Like, I mean, like, guys, I'm sorry. We've gone too far. I mean, look, we knew the pendulum had to swing back from a couple of years ago when Bloomberg told us to let your pets die. But now we've gone too far in that you don't need to give GLP-1s to your pet.
It's really expensive.
There's a nice middle ground there where you take your pet to the vet, you feed them, you play with them, and you do all those nice things that you're supposed to do. And that's where we need to get to. Not, hey, my cat's 1 pound overweight, should I use Ozempic?
Can you imagine?
I mean, like, who looks at... I got to be 100% honest. Who even looks at an animal...
Oh, my God.
...and is just like... No, you need to lose weight. I'm gonna like, yeah, I get it. We all have like pets in our lives that occasionally like look a little chunkier, or look a little thinner.
I know that we all treat our pets like as family members, and weight issues can cause
self-esteem problems.
No, like early death in pets. Like they can't use their joints anymore, and they die early. But again, the easy solution to that is force your pet to lose weight. Because it's not a human being. We don't.
Most of us with pets are not.
It's
just
not going to be
sneaking
over to McDonald's at midnight.
Right, we're not sending them out into the fields to like hunt for their dinner. Like that's not how most of us work with our pets.
And if it were, it'd be not overweight anymore because it would be hunting its own dinner.
So I gotta say, this is a real problem here that this is even being talked about.
I don't think it's a problem. I think it's very funny.
Texter says, "Woof, go V."
Woof, go V. That's fantastic. I just...
and don't get me wrong, like, we do use human medications on pets on a regular basis.
Sure, I have
cousins.
Cat has diabetes. They have to give it a shot every day.
I have a family member whose dog has seizures, and there's no dog-specific seizure medication, so the vet prescribes human medication for that. But like that's a specific problem that you're trying to deal with, not, hey, my pet's a little overweight. Do you think we need to start giving it shots once a month?
Oh man, I got to drop my animal health insurance because if this stuff starts getting covered, it's going to be going through the roof.
Oh, I mean, it's my goodness. I don't even know, where to where to start on this here. Another one here. This one from Bloomberg. Tired Americans are spending more just to avoid chores. So apparently, GE has come out with what I do think is kind of like the Holy Grail. It's kind of cool. It's a washer-dryer combo that you don't have to move things back and forth.
Finally.
The problem is that it costs $2,000 to get it all into one unit instead of, $1,200 if you just put them side by side. So the question is, over the 8 to 10 year lifespan of a new washer dryer, is it worth it to you to spend an extra $100 a year to not have to move damp laundry from one side to the other?
Well, to play devil's advocate, it could be a space-saving maneuver too.
Yeah. I like it. This story was trying to mock people who are buying these expensive products that make their lives easier.
Some of them are silly.
Yes, absolutely. Like the closet that steams your clothes. Yeah, that seems pretty silly. But
I've never steamed a single clothes, not let alone multiple clothes.
Isn't this the entire purpose of technology and innovation is to make our lives easier? Now, some of them are going to be dumb, like a steaming clothes closet.
Do you remember the smart toilets from a couple of years ago that would read your bowel movements and tell you what to eat?
Yeah.
Give that to the cat.
So, not all of these are going to be
smart litter box.
Great
it
ideas.
tells you if your cat's been eating mice that have been, in your laundry.
Yeah, so some of these are dumb, but I don't think we should just mock a washer dryer combo for $2,000. That's not that ridiculous.
Some of them are okay. Some of them are a little do you need to buy an oven with a specialized pizza setting in it, or can you just turn your regular oven up really high with a $20 pizza stone in it?
What makes it special?
Well, I mean, a pizza oven's 1,000 degrees. I don't think my oven gets that hot.
Well, no, you can cook a good pizza at 500 degrees.
Yeah, I do
no
mine
problem.
Yeah, easy.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, you can do a great one. Or just turn the broiler on, put it at the top rack, and you're good.
I don't make pizza. This is the easiest thing to do takeout for.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. I don't know what we're saying that about, but in any case, let's take a quick break until tomorrow. So, take the day.
For the most important day in markets.
Get yourself settled. Do your laundry. Move it from the washer to the dryer. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Financial Exchange.